a little bit of the agenda today. So obviously we'll go over some introductions. We'll walk through the Hudu side of things, go over a Hudu overview, and then we'll transition to level, do a level overview, and of course, why you all joined today, kind of talk about the integration and its capabilities, how that integration works, and some really cool, unique things to do with it. As I mentioned, Q&A throughout. Again, want this to be as interactive as possible. So if you have any questions for us about us personally, the products, the integration, any and all questions are welcome. So again, one more time for anybody that's just joining us, some introductions here. My name is Daniel Nelson. I am an account manager for Hudu. Tend to do a lot of these webinars, so if you've joined one before, you've probably seen me. I'm always open for any questions or anything. You can always send me an email and let me know or schedule a meeting with me at any time. And I'm looking forward to kind of showing off this new integration for us today. Jacob, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Sure, yeah, I'm excited to show both the Level side and the Hudu side of this integration. My name is Jacob Haug. I'm the CEO of Level. We started around 6 years ago now, and kind of a newer entry to the RMM space. Derek?
Yeah. I'm going to be giving everybody a quick background on Level as well. It'll be super quick, but I'll be letting Jacob just dive into the integration and get into the meat of the webinar. So
Awesome. Thanks, guys. So let's start off here with why Hudu. So Hudu is a IT documentation tool that allows you to save time, stand out, and drive growth. So there's many different reasons why a IT documentation tool is necessary for your business. These are just some of those most important things here. Again, empowering the technicians with the tools they need. Hudu has a lot of different tools that allows you to do this, and I'll go ahead and show off a lot of those here today. This also allows your team to deliver exceptional service that sets you apart. Again, we'll go into these items and show kind of how this is possible and really why Hudu can benefit your organization. And of course, driving growth as well. We obviously all desire long-term success within this industry, and having an IT documentation tool like Hudu really allows you to do this. So what we do, these are just some of the many things that Hudu offers. And again, I'm going to go into this here shortly. Password management, knowledge retention, external sharing, asset management, network management, expiration tracking, change control, process organization, and as you can see, quite a lot more. Again, I'll go into a quick demo of Hudu as well here shortly. So if you haven't seen it, you can kind of get a feel of how Hudu has these things and how they can really benefit you and your organization. Derek, if you want to go ahead and talk a little bit about the level side of things.
yeah, thanks, Daniel. That was a great intro. Love that. So again, my name is Derek Schultz. I'm an account executive at Level. Going to start off with just a little background, who we are and what we're trying to do here at Level. But to define Level, we are a fast cloud-based operating system agnostic RMM. And what that means is we're built on a modern stack and we try to keep feature parity wherever possible across all operating systems. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to eliminate redundancy that we see in a lot of RMMs today and just overall reduce operational complexity for IT teams and MSPs of all sizes. So to my next point, Level secure, it's simple. We try to keep everything in Level real time, fully encrypted, peer-to-peer, wherever possible. So that gives you a lot of security when you're working in the platform. And we package all of it up into a nice design. We have a great design team, and they did a phenomenal job at building a user experience that's low click, high resolution, and building something that just feels good and looks good to work in. So some of our core features as of right now, a lot of the basic RMM functionality like remote control and scripting and asset inventory, patching, background management, endpoint security are all in our portfolio of features. We've been putting a huge emphasis as of recently on workflow automation, monitoring, and alerting. We think those are some of our standout features at the moment, and those are continuing to grow, but everything in Level is great. So if anybody wants to do a really, really deep dive into Level and find out a little bit more about the rest of these features, that's we do. And level integration, please let me know. But I think Jacob's going to cover a lot of it here today. So I'll pass it off to Jacob and I'll let him talk about the integration.
Thanks, Derek. Yeah, I'm really excited about this integration. One of the big problems with documentation is keeping it up to date, and you don't want your documentation to be stale or out of date. And that's where the RMM can really come in and help. All of your assets are already in the RMM. And with this integration, you're able to just push those assets in real time to Hudu, and specifically within their custom fields. And we handle keeping that up to date and synced. So all of your devices are always associated with the correct company in Hudu. And directly from Hudu, you're able to initiate remote control sessions and jump to the overview for that endpoint. So it's a big time saving, and we'll dive in and kind of walk through that integration in just a bit.
Awesome. So we're now at the part where kind of this is, we wanted to spend the majority of time inside of the products themselves, kind of showing off how Hudu works, how Level works, and then of course, how this integration works together. So we're going to start off on the Hudu side of things here as I jump into the Hudu platform. Now, fully aware, some of our attendees today may already use Hudu, may have a good background on what Hudu is. We also have some attendees that may have a good background on Level, but not Hudu. So obviously we wanted to make sure to show off both of the tools in general, just so you have a good grasp on maybe if you don't use either of them, what these two tools have to offer. So starting off with the Hudu side of things here, this is the page you'll see as soon as you log into Hudu. It really is just your dashboard, kind of just serves as a jumping out point for your Hudu instance. Jumping back into what you were recently working on, you also have a full activity feed here for monitoring what your technicians are doing. Now let's jump straight into our companies page here where we have all of our companies laid out for us, and we can easily find whichever one that we're looking for. Jumping into one of our companies, Hudu keeps everything siloed, so each space created contains its own documentation separate from the rest of the companies you create, but you do have standardization across your entire Hudu instance. What I mean by that is this left-hand sidebar with all of the core tools and your asset layouts is going to look the exact same across any company that you jump into. You have some things on this company overview page like a customizable quick note section and a museum which acts as an archive for this company to store your old and inactive information. Now here's where we can dive into some of those things I mentioned earlier that really separates Hudu from some other IT documentation platforms in the space. We start off here with a password management tool where you can manage all of your passwords related to this company, managing them through password folders, password tagging. Within each password, we can easily copy a username, password, or OTP code. We're able to reveal those passwords, reveal those OTP codes. We have dark web alert features for password strength tool, and Hudu offers a lot of free sharing options as well. So if you ever need to quickly share a password out, you can easily do so, including what is needed and sharing out by either copying to your clipboard or sending via email. Again, this makes it very easy to establish touch points with your customers. As I mentioned earlier, an IT documentation tool, you want it to be easy for your technicians, but also establish those touch points and really show the benefit to your customers of what you're doing. And a lot of these Hudu tools allow you to do just that. Passwords, we also do have external apps, and one of those being our browser extension that allows you to easily autofill passwords on websites. Going into our next tool that kind of separates us apart is going to be a strong process management system. These are for items like these SOPs like onboarding, offboarding, new user and new computer setups, where we can standardize these at the global level, as we can do with many other things in Hudu. And then as soon as we need to start one in a company, we can easily do so from those global process templates. These can be a great way to have reproducible results across your entire Hudu instance and really have these trackable SOPs where I can go through, I can check off steps as they are completed, I can have notes for task completion, assign users and due dates, and easily copy all of my completed tasks so I can ensure that my internal notes for process completion are visible. So if I want to see how long tasks are taking my technicians to complete, I can easily do so. Going off with our free sharing options, I can even send real-time status updates of these processes. So if I have anyone outside of my Hudu instance that wants to follow along with how a process is completed, they can easily do so. KB section, this is your knowledge repository for Hudu. So articles, documents, how-to guides. You have company KBs. You also have a global KB for articles that make sense to have across your entire Hudu instance. Within our KB articles here, you have lots of different features. The editor is going to be the WYSIWYG editor, where I can change things such as headers, which populate a table of contents for the article, adding in different things like block quote, inline code, and callouts to make it very easy for my technicians to follow through an article. Hudu does also have, as I mentioned earlier, a revision history component. So as I scroll down on my right-hand sidebar here, I can click into a recent update of the article and see each time this article's been changed from its creation. I can jump back to any previous version I'd like here, see who's making changes, when they were made, and even compare differences between versions to make sure that if something's taken out and it doesn't look right, I can see exactly what that was, maybe what was added in, making sure that these articles, as well as other items like passwords, networks, racks, and assets, are easily audited inside my Hudu instance. Hudu does offer a couple of infrastructure management tools as well, such as a networks and rack sections, IPAM and rack management. With our IPAM solution, again, these are two tools that also kind of separate us from some other IT documentation platforms in the space. With our network section, I can see the total IP addresses on a network and what all those IP addresses are currently doing, whether they're assigned to a device, reserved for one coming in, making it very easy to kind of monitor all of my IP addresses within a network. Of course, rack management side of things, if I have a technician that needs to find a device on a rack and there isn't any documentation on that rack, it can be very challenging and time consuming to find a device. Hudu's rack management solution ensures every device is accounted for. I can specify a rack of arbitrary height, choose whether I want my rows in ascending or descending order, and then when I'm adding devices on a rack, I can specify the rows it takes up, rack side, and what device is actually used on that row, making it very easy for my technicians to easily find devices on racks when they need to. You can also have photos in Hudu, and I talked about one of our external apps earlier, our browser extension. Another one of those being our mobile app. One of the features we provide that makes it very easy for technicians to do their job is you can actually upload photos directly from the mobile app or from your camera roll itself. You can also upload them generically here to that company's photos module, but if you do have a photo that lives on a piece of documentation, I can see that and easily access the documentation directly from the photo. Couple other tools Hudu offers are websites and expirations. Any website that you track, all you have to do is provide the URL. Hudu will automatically populate the rest of what you see on this page, and the expirations are easily identifiable. But if I want to look into all expirations across this company, I can go into the expirations tool where I can see those website expirations that are automatically tracked. I can see article expirations for auditing articles, warranty expirations for devices. And of course, I can set up alerts for all of these expirations, and alerts can be triggered via webhook or sent directly to an email. Now, we talked about this external sharing, kind of some of these one-off share methods, but Hudu does also have an external portal for easily sharing out documentation with your end users. You can configure different assets, passwords, KB articles, and more for the end user to view. If you have Level, for instance, and you're syncing in specific devices or servers, and you want your end users to be able to see that information, you can share that with them through the portal by sharing different assets out. So that way, again, if you want people to have access to assets or passwords, they can go in and have access to those items in a read-only format. And this is completely for free for unlimited portal users. Now, touching on our asset management side of things, and this is really where you'll see a lot of power with the Level integration as well, really along with any of our integrations. Within these asset layouts here, we can, of course, have different integrations set up within our asset management. Again, everything is standardized. So if I create a people asset layout, this is going to show up across all of our companies here, where we can track the people, the devices. As I click into a contact, Tracking our flexible asset layout information that is completely flexible and customizable, seeing integration information, creating relationships between things. So if I'm on a contact and I want to go into the desktop information on them, maybe this information is coming in from the level integration that we already have automated into Hudu, I can easily do so. So when creating these asset layouts here, I can go into our admin section and into asset layouts, and I can standardize everything that we want to track in our Hudu instance. Essentially, everything in this list here that is active with this green check mark will show up on that left-hand sidebar when I was inside of a company. All of these are completely flexible and customizable, so I can literally start from scratch and build out asset layouts the way I want them to look. I can also start from various templates that Hudu has already created for me. Again, the level integration, as Jacob's going to show a little bit later, will automate a lot of this happening into your Hudu fields themselves. But if you have other asset layouts that maybe aren't being automated in through an integration, or if you want to add supplemental information to your integrations, you can do that through these flexible asset layouts, adding new fields, editing fields, basically selecting between any of these field types that you want to use. If I wanted to embed a Lucidchart or Visio diagram or add a date for tracking certain expirations across my instance, I can easily do so. I typically will touch a little on integrations, but I'm going to save that part for Jacob when he runs through the integration with Hudu and Level. But just know Hudu has a vast amount of integrations. And so whatever you utilize, you can either automate through our native integrations or through our API. Hudu has an extremely robust API capable of quite a lot, as well as having a full Swagger page with a ton of different API endpoints in here. So again, we do have a lot of customers who utilize our native integrations. We also have a lot of customers utilize our API in general to expand on those automation capabilities. Last couple of things here I will touch on, and then we'll go ahead and talk more on the level side. Security-wise, you can enable 2FA, SAML SSO, IP access control, as well as set up various granular permissions through our users and group settings. Of course, a documentation instance and really anything in our industry, one of the most important things is the security of that instance. So we are SOC 2 Type 2, HIPAA, PCI DSS, and GDPR compliant as well. I touched on a couple of those external apps already, the mobile app, the browser extension. Those can be great ways to have that documentation easily accessible on the go and easily autofill passwords on websites as well. So that's kind of a quick high-level overview of Hudu. Now, again, I am always available if you want to learn more about Hudu or anything like that. I'll go ahead and have Jordan, who is moderating for us today, link my email in the chat. You can always reach out to me by email if you want to schedule a more official one-on-one demo or anything like that. I'd always be happy to do that with you. So now, Jacob, I will go ahead and stop the screen share here, and we can go ahead and start sharing the screen and get into the level side of things.
Sure, sounds great. Thanks for the demo. That was actually really exciting. That was one of my first times seeing so much of Hudu. I love it. Really powerful. So here I want to introduce just a quick overview of Level before we dive into the integration piece for those that might not be familiar with it. But Level, our goal is to have a really clean, easy to use interface. And this is the device listing when you first load in. You're able to group your devices by location or company, whatever makes sense for you. And then this view here is completely customizable. So if I wanted to see the host name or the system uptime or how many available updates, you can just turn on or off whatever columns that you want to see. Everywhere that you see this OS icon in Level, you're able to just click right on that OS icon to remote control the device. We just open up a new tab right in your browser. Level's entirely web-based. One of the neat factors is the type of connection we're using. So here we have a peer-to-peer connection, and that just means my browser is directly connected to this endpoint. There's no Level server between me and this device, which drastically increases security, and it also reduces latency. Like I have a 16 millisecond ping to this device. Another cool aspect of this remote control view is we can pop open this sidebar, and everything we do here is behind the scenes. so we're not disrupting that end user. Here, we're just looking at some basic system information, but we can also hop on the terminal. It's fully native, real time. You have tab completion, everything that you would expect. We can also browse the file system to upload or download files. If I wanted to upload a file, I can just drag it in from my computer right into the sidebar, and it uploads straight to the device. If you want to download a file, you can just double click and we'll download it straight to your computer. You can also manage processes and services right here from the sidebar. So if I wanted to quickly restart the print spooler, I can do that in just a couple clicks instead of jumping over here to the end device and opening up the service manager in front of the user. Back here on the device listing, if we click on a device's name, this takes us to the detail view for that device. And this view really highlights our security score, which is an overview of the device's overall security posture. So we're looking at everything from its patch compliance, its AV state, how many admin accounts there are on the device, and we're calculating a score. And devices with a high score are relatively safe, but devices with a low score you might want to address. Here we can see it thinks there's a concerning number of admin accounts, and we can actually see there's an alert associated with that. And in this case, it looks like we have this temp admin account, and these alerts are all real time. And we'll dive into that momentarily. But here we can also see real-time CPU, memory, latency, and disk metrics. We can see the geocoded location. Where is this device located? We can see an audit trail of recent activity. We can also do all of this behind the scenes. So if I wanted to jump on a terminal session or without remote controlling the device, I can do that really quickly right behind the scenes. Same thing with the file explorer. We can also view what applications are installed on this endpoint, potentially manage those. Let me jump back and find a device with some updates. So if there's available updates, we can see those updates. We can go ahead and action them. If we wanted to download and install this update, we can do that. And we can actually see that happen in real time. And we can see the logs come through in real time as well.
Hey,
Another
Jacob,
neat, yeah, go ahead.
sorry about that. Question in the chat. How often are device metrics read and stored? Every 1 minute, every 5 minutes? What does that look like?
That's a great question. Device metrics are updated around every 5 minutes, approximately, but you won't have any missed data. And there's a little bit of nuance to that. If the device is offline, next time it comes online, it might update, several hours worth of metrics for us. Yeah.
Thank you.
Jumping back to kind of this overview, I want to dive into how you can monitor and also automate large tasks with your devices. So we jump over to this monitors tab, we can see everything that we're monitoring for this endpoint. And you can see this is really made up of a bunch of different policies. So we have a global policy and we have a security policy. And these policies are monitoring a variety of things. We're looking at the uptime of a device. We're looking at whether the device meets our minimum standards, but we're also monitoring things like the CPU. If the CPU is at 75% for 30 minutes, we're going to generate an alert. And with all of these alerts, you're able to trigger remediation. So here's an example of a disk alert, and we're triggering a remediation to clean up the disk space. Similarly, here's an automation that's monitoring for if the device's uptime is greater than 30 days. And if it is, we ask the user to reboot. So it's really powerful, and it lets you automate these tasks so you don't have alert fatigue and you don't have to manually perform these actions. We can jump over to policies to see the policies that are applied to the device. And we can also jump over here to create policies. Policies are targeted to devices through tags. So every device that has these tags will inherit these monitoring or patching policies. I want to touch just a second on automations. I think one of the best ways to show this is just by doing something. So let's say this device is lost or stolen. I can quickly tag the device as lost. And if we jump over to this automation section, we'll see that there is a new automation now that's running on this device. And all I did was tag it as lost, and it's going to gather some intel. Where is this device located? We can see it's located in Asheville, North Carolina. And now it's asking me whether I want to approve destructively erasing this device. And all I had to do was just tag it with lost. Similarly, if I wanted to like install software, maybe I want to install Office on this device, I can just tag the device with Office. And then if we refresh, we'll see that there's a new automation running on this device now that's installing Office on it for us. Let's pull up an automation and kind of see what that looks like. There's really two pieces to an automation. First is the trigger, like what causes this automation to run. In this case, you can see this is going to run on any device that's Windows or Mac when it's tagged with Office. And all we're doing is installing whatever version of Office we want on Windows or Mac. The cool thing is I didn't have to write any code to do this. This is a built-in action to Level. So I didn't have to write like a bunch of PowerShell to utilize the Office deployment tool to make this happen. From a trigger standpoint, you can do things on some type of schedule. So maybe I want to run a weekly security check or monthly updates. You can also do things when devices are detected, when they enter or leave certain device groups. And you can do things when tags are applied or removed, which gives you this desired state management almost, where if the Office tag is present, I know Office has been installed. And if I remove that Office tag, I can trigger an automation to uninstall Office. And you can also do things through webhooks as well. And then with regard to actions, you can, of course, run scripts as you would expect. And we support more languages than every RMM out there: PowerShell, Bash, ZSH, OS Query, Python, Ansible, Go. But if you're not into scripting, we have a bunch of built-in actions that are low code or no code. You can do things like wait for approval, like you saw with the lost or stolen device. You can apply tags, which can trigger other automations to run. You can save data to custom fields like your BitLocker recovery keys. You can put devices into maintenance mode. You can install updates very quickly. So if I wanted to install Windows updates, I can just pull up that action. I choose what categories of updates I want to install. If I want to delay those updates for stability reasons for a few days, I can do that. And I can very quickly build out robust policies. We can also install and update third-party applications using winget, and then we can ask the user to do things with user approval actions like reboot their device. So that's a quick overview of Level. Now let me dive into how you can use Level with Hudu to kind of automate a lot of your documentation practices. So right now I have these two device groups, ABC Dental and YMCA Aspen. And with each of these, we have some endpoints associated with them. If we jump over to the Hudu side, I have a fresh Hudu account here, no companies created. If we go to our admin view here, we will see that I have no asset layouts created here. This is a fresh account. So first thing we're going to do is we're just going to create companies on the Hudu side to match our Level side. Likely you won't have to do this. You'll already have documentation if you're a Hudu customer, but if you're not, you just want to quickly create the companies on the Hudu side. So now we have these fresh companies. We can see there's no passwords or processes or KB articles associated with it. There's also no asset layouts. So now we have these matching companies, but we don't have any device information syncing. There's no magic happening yet. So again, we'll go back to this admin view. And what we want to do is create a new API key. So you would probably call this like Level, and then what we're going to do is just check this one permission to give it destructive actions. This is going to allow us to create the asset layouts and keep those managed, as well as to keep your devices synced. Once you have that API key, you can jump back over to the Level side. From here, you want to jump over to your settings, and you want to go down to integrations. And on here, we're just going to go right into this Hudu integration. You'll want to put in your Hudu URL for your instance and paste that API key that you just got when you created it. And then you can quickly test and make sure that you have a successful connection to your Hudu instance. That's great for if you have like IP restrictions on the Hudu side, you might want to use that test button. Next, we want to define the mapping. So we want to add whatever Level groups we want to sync to Hudu. So I'm going to select all of our companies here, and we're going to go ahead and add them. And we can load in our Hudu companies. And we just want to map it. So ABC Dental to ABC Dental and YMCA Aspen to YMCA Aspen, and we hit save. Now we can just enable this integration, and immediately you'll see Level is going to start syncing those devices to Hudu. So if we jump over, I'll touch on this real fast. You can also watch those events come in real time here as well. So jumping back over to the Hudu side, if we pull up one of these companies, you'll see now we have these new asset layouts for servers and workstations that will show up on all of your companies. We click in, we can see the workstations and the servers associated with those asset layouts. We can click into one of those devices to see all of the information associated with that device. And we have links here to directly open a remote control session to the device right from Hudu without having to jump into Level and search for that device that you want to manage. Similarly, if you wanted to run automations or something, you can go to the overview as well and trigger automations very quickly. It saves you a lot of time if you're already in your documentation looking at how is this device set up? What do I need to do? As Daniel was pointing out, you might have some processes that you're following, steps that you're following, and a lot of those steps are probably to trigger or do something on that device, maybe through an automation and Level. So these links can save you a lot of time. So again, both of these companies have both of these asset layouts with all of our devices right there. If we want to look at kind of what that looks like from the asset layout side, we can pull up those asset layouts and we can jump into one of them. And you can see it's made up of all of these custom fields that we're populating for you. And our goal is to kind of increase that over time and continue to provide more and more information about your endpoints. I'll just pause here and just see if there's any questions that we want to kind of touch on.
Yeah, Jacob, it looks like we have a question in the Q&A. This looks like your integration is directly modifying the Hudu content instead of adding sections like in Level. What they're referring to here is a lot of our standard RMM PSA integrations are going to create a card in Hudu that is basically syncing over that information into the card, whereas the integration between Level and Hudu is actually syncing into those fields. So if you want to touch on that a little bit, that would be great.
Sure. Yeah, so we spent a lot of time thinking about how to do this integration and how to make it really nice on the Hudu side. And yeah, essentially using these asset layouts and syncing the information directly to these fields, these custom fields, we felt provided a better overall experience. I'm not sure how many other integrations are doing it that way, but yeah, that's the way we chose to go about it. I'm not as familiar with the Hudu terminology or the Hudu side of things. So Daniel, maybe you want to add some stuff there?
Yeah, definitely. So, and it looks like Jordan's typing as well, but essentially, like I mentioned, a lot of our integrations are going to fill in that card in Hudu. The kind of benefit that you get with this is that if you go back one step there to the like where all of your servers are, or yeah. So you can see here that with this integration, those table views can now get filled in. Whereas with a lot of our other PSA or RMM integrations, the card information currently cannot get added to those table views because they aren't directly populating Hudu's fields. So that's kind of a huge plus of this integration as well, is that it is kind of automatically syncing into those Hudu defined fields there. Again, I'm sure based off of your question, it definitely sounds like you have utilized Hudu with other RMM or PSA integrations or anything like that. So yeah, as David said in the chat, cards are not able to be modified, so Levels integration can kind of do that there. David also has another question for you, Jacob. Will the assets be archived in the farther when the device is deleted in Level?
Sorry about that. That's a great question. I'm actually not too sure. On Level side, once we delete the device, we delete everything associated with it, but I don't think we touch the integration piece, but I'd have to check with one of our developers. But we're open to suggestions. We want to do whatever is best for users of Hudu and users of Level, whatever they would expect there. So if you have suggestions, we're definitely open to your feedback on what we should be doing in those cases.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And one of the reasons that these partner webinars are so great too is it allows for feedback like this. So, currently if that doesn't archive, and I think the reason that this is brought up is with kind of some of the other integrations, this is something that we have added in. So it's definitely great to hear feedback like this as well. Because, as we continue to expand on this integration, it's definitely some great feedback. So any and all feedback is welcome for the integration. For myself, for Jacob in particular, if you want to see some enhancements or anything additional to what this integration is already doing, please feel free to let us know today. I'm sure that Level has some sort of format for feature requests or expansions on integrations or features in general. And so yeah, please let us know those things, because those are just as helpful as us answering your questions, as you providing us feedback on what you're seeing today.
Definitely. And so I see David in the chat says that currently we don't archive when it's removed from Level, and he would know he uses both Level and Hudu. So I'll just take that back to our team and we'll add a feature request for that. I agree, we should archive it. It makes sense that you would want to keep all of the documentation for that device.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for asking all these questions as well. Always very helpful. We actually are at the point now too where we've kind of gone through all of the content we plan on talking about. This is typically how we like to do these partner webinars, is just make sure we have as much time for this Q&A session as possible. So of course, at this point, feel free to, if you want, 20 minutes back of your day. We scheduled this for an hour. So any and all questions are welcome, and we'll stick on to make sure any questions that we can answer are answered. I will probably not go ahead and jump back into the slides at this point. We can just keep it on Jacob's instance here so we can, answer any questions on this side. But if you are currently utilizing one of the tools or neither of them, if you want to start a free trial and kind of see what this integration capabilities are, or just kind of see how the tools work in general, you can go to hudu.com, you can go to level.io, and you can sign up for your free trials there. Both of us offer those free trials. So again, if you're coming from either side and want to kind of explore what the other platform looks like, involving the integration, involving items in general, feel free to take advantage of that. And again, my email is provided in the chat as well. You can always reach out to me if you're looking a little more on the Hudu side of things. And you can always reach out to Jacob or Derek as well. I'm sure they can provide their emails in the chat for if you have any questions on their side.
Daniel, yeah, I had something to touch on quickly. Me and Jacob just dropped a link in the chat, and what that's going to take you to is the roadmap. You're going to see kind of where we're at in terms of when our features are going to be released and what we're working on. If you go to boards under that link, there's also a spot where you can drop in feature requests and vote to see on what you would like to see next in Level. So it's a really cool interactive roadmap. We encourage everybody to use that because we pay very close attention to that page. So that's all I had on that.
Awesome. And yeah, it looks like we had a question. So thanks, Jacob, for answering. You got another Level question in the chat here. Feel free to answer that live or type away. Either method works great.
Yeah, so where's Level's data center? We have East Coast, West Coast, and an EU data center. So I believe it's Virginia for our East Coast data center, Oregon for our West Coast data center, and somewhere in Germany for our EU data center.
Awesome. Yeah. Again, thanks for answering these questions, and thanks everyone in the chat and Q&A for asking questions. Definitely, again, love when this is as interactive as possible. So, Hudu team recording will be sent out after. Yep. So we will go ahead and basically, once the recording has been, edited and all of that. Again, not too many edits or anything like that. So we'll probably post that today or tomorrow here. We'll go ahead and post it to our website. We'll also post it to the Reddit thread and on our socials. So wherever you found the link for this webinar, we'll also post it in that avenue as well. Again, pretty much all of our webinar recordings and recordings for really anything we do are posted on our resource center on our website. So if you're ever looking to look back at other recordings or anything like that, we can definitely, you can find those there, but there will be multiple avenues for where this recording will live for sure. Yeah, no problem at all. Happy to help today. Hopefully, yeah, Jordan just went ahead and linked our resource center to on our website. Again, every and all webinar, tips and tricks, best practices, monthly trainings, you can all find those in that resource center there. And so feel free to find those there. If you have any uh feedback or questions in a follow-up as well, reach out to me, reach out to our support team, whatever is needed on the Hudu side of things. And again, I'm sure the same can be said for the level side of things. Working with them through this has definitely shown that both us and them are, we like to be interactive with our customers and make sure that you have everything that you need. So again, we are open to everything and anything that you have for us. So yeah, we'll stick on here for probably at least 5 more minutes here, just in case anybody has any more questions. Again, though, if you've kind of got everything you needed today, feel free to drop off, no problem at all. Take back a little bit of time of your day. Hopefully you all found this as kind of informative as I did. It was great to see the level integration work with Hudu and kind of having those fields automatically populate into Hudu's fields in general. So thanks again, Jacob and Derek, for showing that off today, because yeah, it was very cool to see.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you for moderating that. You did an awesome job. Really appreciate it. And thank you, everybody, for joining and learning about Hudu and Level. That was awesome. So.
All right. Well, great. It does look like we're not gonna, we don't have to just sit around here and hang out. So since we don't have any more questions, we'll just go ahead and wrap it up for today. Again, if you do have anything that you are curious about, reach out to us, reach out to Level, whatever side makes sense, and we're more than happy to make sure that all those questions get answered. Jordan just went ahead and linked my email and Jacob's email. So and Derek linked his. So any questions, reach out to us, let us know. Thanks everyone for joining, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, guys. See ya.